3, 2, 1. Karo? Autism, also known as autism spectrum disorder, is as mentioned as a disorder that is in human genetics, in which people behave like. How do they behave? Like.
Well, that's not something you can say particularly, because autism is not it's not something that everybody has, and everybody who has autism acts in a different way. For example, I've only seen in movies and such on. I actually had a friend who was autistic, and he was a bit slow. He could not understand properly. He could not write.
But also, I've heard that some people who have autism tend to be faster than normal people.
The thing is, because at some things they are faster, at something they are slow. It depends. For example, our character is a very good musician. He can play a good guitar, but he has his problems, and in this movie we will show his flaws and his bad side, because
Basically, what they're trying to say is that autistic people, the only way you can describe them is that they have a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
And because of this different perspective, they can't exactly interact or fit in with normal people.
And that's not a bad perspective.
That's not a bad perspective.
Kind of a better perspective, because they are more creative than
Yeah.
average human beings.
They can excel a lot, significantly more in certain things than the average person.
And for our topic, that is our main question, which is about how does our product engage with audience, and how would it be distributed as a real media text. Firstly, I would talk about how it would engage with our audience. I wanted to say that it relates with most of our target audience, because they feel the same way as our main character, all caged up, and cannot find a way to express their feelings. So
we have done many research. We have done many surveys. We have interviewed people. We have done questions. We have asked questions on social media apps such as Instagram, and we have asked many people who we have personally know
We
as
made
well.
formal surveys as well.
And-
Forms on Google Forms.
And that help us find our audience. That's very important if you want to engage with your audience. In order to engage with your audience, you need to know your audience, and that's something we have really focused on, because we can't engage with our audience. We don't know what our audience like. What if our audience likes something else and we make something else? So first we have to know what kind of audience we have, and then we have to act upon that and work on our project as per they want.
We made sure that
We did make sure.
we made sure that our audience was the right audience. Like, it would be around 16-year-olds who are mature enough to understand the
I would
concept.
but I
about
think-
say
yeah.
13
I
to
would think
16,
13 is a good
13
point.
to 16.
because they are maturing and realizing the things that in their surroundings.
And during that specific phase, that teenage phase,
Yeah, obviously you
the
can say
developing
teenager.
mind,
Yeah.
it is important to instill that autistic people aren't bad people. They're not people who should be considered as abnormal, but they should be considered to be special.
Yeah.
At this maturing age, they should know that autistic people are also people who are like us. They should be treated with equality.
Yeah.
Because mostly in third world countries like Pakistan, they're not given that much. How can we say?
As autism isn't considered a professional disorder in Pakistan.
That much importance.
And then, so basically because of that fact, they're not given importance. There's no awareness about autism, and because of this, people have the wrong mindset towards autistic people.
I'd argue that a lot of parents should let their younger child
You'd
children.
agree, basically, not
Yeah.
argue.
Oh yes, but because the next generation, the generation after us, obviously our generation, I don't think so are much. They don't care about much.
Yeah.
So I think the next generation should be more open to autism and everything. And I think our movie, if the next generation does watch and grows up with the movie as well, I think that will open a lot of mind, because it's generation. Everything is generation. The world is very different than it was back in 20 years ago, 2000, 1980s, 1960s. Every 20 to 10 years.
The world is drastically changing every decade now. That's how fast everything's moving.
And we want to make sure that because of our movie, the world changes for a good cause, not a bad cause.
And moving back to that point where we did some surveys, I also had a friend who had autism, and he looked at that survey, And one question that annoyed him, I can say, is that should people with autism be given different institutions, special institution? And he strongly disagreed, because he said that people with autism are not different people. They are people with who we can say that they have a personality disorder that affects their daily lifestyle, but they're also very smart. We can argue
Like
that
we
they're
said,
smarter than us.
they can excel at certain things much more than we can, like we said initially as well.
and he
And
and he mainly said that he was proud of that, and he wanted to portray his proudness through, how can we say that?
basically, he didn't want autism to be considered a disorder. He wanted it to be considered to be a perspective instead of a disorder.
He didn't
And
wanted to be a problem. He wanted to be a superpower, we can
an
say.
advantage
An
over other
advantage.
people, because autistic people do tend to excel, and that's how our main character has been portrayed, because he's a really, really talented musician.
Well, as much as I agree with Marib and Sami that perhaps they don't need extra help, but I think sometimes they do need extra help because I've seen from my own eyes, I've seen from personal memories. My friend, the one I told you about, that he was autistic. He had trouble understanding and writing and understand the whole point of the class. For that, he needed extra classes, and I think autistic people should get extra help, not in that not in that case that they need to be considered as a disorder or a problem. It should be a normal for them. It should be a normal thing to have them for teachers to give them more attention than the other normal ones. There are some conditions. I can't say the normal.
We
children.
can call them
every child is normal.
Yeah.
But if you say that every child is a normal and one of them is autistic, I think that's wrong, because you can't just say that the person, for example, if you're autistic and you're a normal child. If I say that you're both normal people and I say that your life, if you walk the same way in life, that you will reach the same destination. I cannot say that. Honestly, I think there are different aspects to everybody. That's why there are different
Even
jobs.
two normal people won't reach the same destination.
So that's
so
what
it's not about autism.
Yeah, so that's what I think. As much as I do agree that autism people are very special, I do think that in Pakistan they should be handled with special care, and they should be treated as somebody more special than
They
normal
shouldn't be
people.
bullied.
That-
Instead, they should be
Not-
given
yeah,
assistance.
exactly, and that's a very huge thing, and that's a very huge cause behind our film and what we wanted to portray and what we want to spread awareness for. And like Marib and Samir said, I do agree with them, but it's a mixer. I think that's beautiful, because that's the kind of stuff that leaves the audience a question in their mind to support whatever. But by the end of the movie, I'm sure they will come to a good realization and a good end. And
Good conclusion.
yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. That's why
It's about sending the message.
yeah, and that's why we make a movie. There's a thing to make a movie about. You can't make a movie about everything. There's a special case. There's a special story behind this movie, and everything about this movie is special in my opinion. And that's why I don't think it's a problem, because our movie about an autistic, it's also special in its own kind.
And I hope, as the camera director as well, the cameraman basically, I hope through the means of media language, camera angles and everything, and through the means of editing and him story writing, we are able to portray something that's not to be forgotten so quickly, and will make people ponder upon the situation of autistic people within Pakistan and within third world countries in general, not just Pakistan, because this is an international problem. It's not just Pakistan. But for the sake of locality, I would consider our piece of media language, media text, to be quite significant, and I feel like if we have been able to send a message, a
I
proper
think we will
message,
be able to send a message.
we will be able to send a message.
We worked really hard on this.
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
you have to work hard for this kind of. For if you make a normal movie, it's okay if you don't work that hard. But
We had to make sure
But
that the
there's-
movie could be on the cinemas as well as the OTT services, because of the recent situations of the coronavirus. People couldn't go to the cinemas, so it was a norm that people would stay at home and watch their movies on OTT services. So we also make sure that the movies were released on famous OTT services, so people can watch our content and spread the message.
Before coming to this point, I want to say as well that when we thought of this idea, there's a huge burden on us. When you make a story regarding a situation like this, it's a very controversial situation. You can't make a movie about it and then make it a fake movie, like not realistic at all. You will get backlash. So we had a lot of responsibility on our hands, and we took a lot of time. We took a lot of precaution. We did a lot of research. We made sure that our movies are perfect representation of an autistic child or an autistic overall.
Autistic individual.
Yeah. And coming back to this point about the cinemas and everything, I do believe that because of the recent pandemic and coronavirus, that a lot of people are not comfortable at watching a movie at their own home. But now it has been 2 years or 3 years.
Not just the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's also our crumbling economy, which is that
That's
the
true.
petrol price is increasing a lot. Everything's becoming more expensive.
So they would rather stay at home than
And
go
save their-
outside.
It's far cheaper.
Yeah.
Far cheaper.
First of all, why waste $10 on a movie if you can use $10 on an OTT
On a
service
OTT
and
service
get
and
hundreds of movies
exactly
plus
have like a whole library of movies right in front of you at your command.
exactly and,
Whenever you want to watch those.
and you can save petrol and you can save so much more stuff. You don't have to go out. You don't have to wear clothes. You don't have to do anything. It's a very bad thing. But there's one thing that I would mention that because of the OTT service and everything, I do feel that there's not an emotional connection, in my opinion. I believe
Yeah.
if I was watching a movie at home and if I was watching a movie at a cinema, I would feel more connected. I would feel
When
more-
you're at a cinema,
Yeah.
you get to feel the character, like you get to feel his as if you are the
Indeed,
character.
indeed. And that's why we want you to see through the main character's eyes. We want you to see through the eyes of an autistic individual, and
But
as
both the OTT services and cinemas have their own downsides and
pros and cons.
pros and cons.
Yeah.
Like in the cinemas, you get to feel the character,
Indeed.
but the con is that you have to move outside your house.
indeed.
Because of the gas
It's far
prices.
expensive.
It's more expensive.
Much more
Yeah.
expensive.
Indeed.
And
One, can I just mention this?
Yeah.
Indeed.
One ticket per person in Pakistan is around 1,000 to 1,500 rupees per person.
in which you can get like a free, not free, like you can get an OTT service subscription.
And then you can get so much
The
content for
most
so many
premium subscription
Yeah.
of those OTT services as well,
Yeah.
for most of them.
So people would rather subscribe to the OTT services than go to cinemas.
But due to the cinema being for like around 100 years, so it's something that people just don't forget. There's still people who love to go to cinema. They love the feeling. They love the whole point of going to
Whole
cinema.
aura of
Yes,
the
it's a very good thing. It's a very beautiful thing, and we can't just not release a movie in a cinema just because of this new fact that people would rather watch the movie at their home. We want to please both of our audience, the whole audience. We want to please them, and we want to make sure that everybody can enjoy their movie, enjoy our movie in any way they want.
I think that concludes everything.
It does.
That concludes this CCR response. Thank you so much.
एक
video बनी है?
हाँ